Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Todd vlog. All right, so I had a question come through from a worship leader friend of mine who wanted to know how I pick songs. All right, so actually, let me read. I'm going to read to you the question just so that I don't misrepresent what he's saying. All right. What's going on here? While I'm searching, be sure you head over to iTunes and check out the 2 new singles we've released this summer, Oh Blessed Tree and Shield. And I tell you to do that because in just a few days, the new single's going to be out, Refuge Safe from Harm. And then you're going to be like, oh, I want to buy the new one, but I also want the old ones. Go ahead and buy the old ones now. Then in a few days, you won't even remember you spent $2. All right, so this is a message I got from a worship leader through Facebook. I want to ask about the fact that when you post a song that you're into or your set list, it's usually a great song, but not necessarily in the mainstream. Can you maybe do a vlog or blog on undiscovered gems? From your perspective, what are your favorite people and places to source songs from? It might be a great idea for a blog post or a video. That's a great question. And it's true. In both my worship listening and my worship leading, there aren't a lot of mainstream worship songs in both of those categories. Doesn't mean I hate mainstream worship songs. Doesn't mean I don't lead mainstream worship songs. But I would say in my listening and in my leading at Bethel Bible Church in Tyler, Texas, that the mainstream worship song is more an exception to the rule. Now, there are some factors that contribute to this. One of them is very human, very secular, might even sometimes be a little bit sinful. And then the other reason is like a good, healthy reason. The first reason why I don't listen to a lot of mainstream worship stuff or lead a lot of mainstream worship stuff is that I'm a kid who came of age in the time of Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots and the REM explosion. And so deep down in me, there's this alternative kid. It even took root in Christian music, which I actually listened to Christian music a lot more than I did secular music. But I was always, there was something about being a kid in high school in the 90s that just the mainstream wasn't cool. And so I still have some of that. I still have some of that thing where if it's popular, I don't want to listen to it. I'd rather listen to the band that no one's heard of. It's not a huge reason, but some of that's in there. It's in the stew that is Todd Wright's personality. But the second reason, the more healthy reason why we don't do a lot of mainstream songs at Bethel and why I don't listen to a lot of mainstream songs is I really do, and this gets thrown around a lot, but I really do think that worship should be indigenous. The songs that we sing should reflect either where we are as a people or what we need as a people. One thing that I tell my team sometimes is that leading worship, a lot of times there are 2 extremes. So sometimes you go to a church and the worship leader is leading like a dietitian. You know, the dietitian who goes, all right, for maximum health, for maximum longevity, you need to eat this, 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 and this at these times. It's not going to be fun to eat these things. It's not going to give you maybe all the pleasure you want, but this is what you need for health. Some worship leaders lead like a dietitian. Other worship leaders lead like a cupcake shop, which is like, hey, come on in. It's time to get your fill. A treat, come get a treat, get whatever treat you want. It's all for you. That's painting it a little too darkly. I'm not doing a good job of that. But you've got the dietitian and you've got like the really good restaurant, right? You've got the Mexican food. You've got that cafe that has the best pie, right? And so worship leading is somewhere in between there for most of us. I tend to believe or tend to lead in more of a dietitian way. I really do care about making sure our people are singing things that are true and biblical and still applicable to their lives. And so I don't think that mainstream worship songs meet that sort of need. I think that mainstream worship songs right now, and really I would say for the past few years, are very similar. They're either all too similar or they're all saying things that I think maybe aren't healthy for the people that I lead. Not saying that I can speak for other churches because I don't lead other churches. I lead my church, and that's what I've got to care about. So the main reason why I don't do a lot of mainstream worship songs is I don't think they get the job done. I just care too much about what we do, and care very little about people getting their kicks from hearing something that they like in their car or on the radio. There's a blog post about this actually over at BethelSongs.com called The Cover Band Conundrum. I'll put a link down in the description. But to the question, sorry, that's a lot of exposition, a lot of backstory there. But to the question of, hey, where do you find these people? How do you look at these resources? Who are some of your favorite go-to people? Well, we live in a great, great age of technology. Technology provides us with many wonderful things. And so here's what I do. I try to keep an ear to all of the main things. So when a Passion record comes out, I listen to the record. When an Elevation album comes out, I listen through that. When a Bethel music album comes out, I don't listen to it and try to delete it off my friends' phones. I listen to it. So I do that. So when new things come out that are fairly mainstream, I listen to them. And I listen to them both just as a listener and as a worship leader. Is there something here? But at the same time, I use the internet and have used the internet to find these sort of tribes. Okay? And so the internet has these tribes, these group of people. So one very obvious tribe that a lot of us know is kind of the Reformed movement tribe. There's worship music now that is along those lines, and those songs are done in a lot of Reformed churches and Reformed conferences. So Keith and Kristen Getty, Sovereign Grace, like all of those in that sort of high view of God's sovereignty, very gospel-centric tribe. And there are a lot of artists in that tribe. You've even got like some Mars Hill stuff. You've even got some like more southern kind of Texas-based worship leaders like Michael Bleeker, Ross King, Matt Boswell, a lot of those guys, Matt Papa, those guys are in that tribe. And so I try to stay attuned to that tribe. I follow a few of those people on Twitter. I follow a few of them on Instagram. I try to read blogs when they come across that come from this part of church world. So that's one tribe. That's just an example of a tribe. There's the hymn tribe. So this would be Sojourn Church. This would be Indelible Grace. This would be, and there's some overlap. There's actually some of those Reformed guys who are kind of in the hymn tribe, and then there's the tribe that I listen to, which is more local church. Like if I see that a church has put out an album, I'll listen to it, and I usually see that through Twitter or through Instagram or something like that. And so I just try to stay aware of tribes. One of these groups that has really yielded a few great songs for me would be this group, this Georgia group. So it's kind of connected to a worship leader named Aaron Keys, who's a great worship leader, maybe one of the best worship leaders I've ever seen. Aaron's a songwriter, great songwriter. And so we do some of Aaron's songs. Now, Aaron is a guy that's not super famous. He's not, as well known as, say, the Bethel music people or whatever, but Aaron's songs are really good. And then through Aaron's songs and Aaron's ministry, then I found the ministry of House Fires, which we all know has the song Good, Good Father. I don't mind taking credit for the fact that I saw Good, Good Father on a YouTube video months and months and months ago and listened to it for a while thinking, wow, this song's great. Why isn't anybody picking it up? And then I started doing it. And I was scared to do it, but it worked. And now you see all these people, they're all doing that song. So that's the thing. As a worship leader, you have to just always sort of be listening and taking in and sort of observing. And as you're doing that, being okay. So when I listen to a Passion record, I listen to it a couple of times. And if I don't find anything on it, I'll still keep listening to it. I don't sort of throw them out and go, okay, well, I'm done with passion. So as a worship leader, I have to always be staying connected to those tribes. I always am trying to do that. And what we're looking for in those moments is we're looking for original material. Yes, you can find stuff on the radio, and a lot of those songs will work for your people. But just as a worship leader, if you want to add some diversity to your planning, diversity to your list, try to broaden your horizons a little bit. So that's how I do it. It's not prescriptive, just sort of describing my process, how I do that. I will put a link down in the description, though. Over on Tumblr, I'm going to compile a list and sort of group up my tribes, the things that I tend to listen to, great resources that I find. And you can click through those if you like. Maybe there's some of those you've never heard of. It's always fun to find new stuff to listen to. But hey, keep the questions coming. That's great. Love talking about worship. Love hearing what you all are singing and doing and the ways you're doing ministry. So thanks for watching.